outside getting ready to go to the studio to work on something new, and I was walking by my hibiscus plant, and oh my goodness, look what was inside it. A little bird left me a feather. Oh my goodness. What a beautiful treat for the morning. I'm looking at these colors. Wonder if there's anything we can do with them today. Let's go see. Well, guys, this is going to be fun today. In honor of that little bird that left me the feather in the hibiscus bloom, I decided today to do a Southwest bird fetish necklace. And this is going to be so much fun. There's a lot of moving parts to this, so you'll just have to bear with me. But I'm going to show you what's on the desk here, and we're going to kind of do it in sections, and we'll go from there. So first thing is these little birds right here are called fetishes, and there's some right here. They do come in colors. These are pearl. And these are about a 10 millimeter, and these are about a 12 right here. They're little tiny things, long wise. I am going to use some black pin shell heishi beads, and this is pretty common in fetish necklaces. Sometimes they're itty bitty, but these are about 2 millimeter size roughly. They are irregularly cut, and that is normal. So we're going to use some of those. We're going to use some red coral, and that's about a 4 millimeter little bead right there. This one is an 8 millimeter seed bead in kind of a currant color or blood color. Then we've got some chips, turquoise chips here that are anywhere from 5 to 7 millimeters in size. Then we've got some heishi cut turquoise, and this is about a 4 to 5 millimeter across this way and 2 millimeter thickness in these. And then I've got a little piece of turquoise here that I'm going to use as the centerpiece on the bottom. You can use whatever you would like or nothing at all. This piece, let me go over here and look here. He is, oh goodness, he's bigger than I thought. 10, 20, he's about a 30 millimeter long piece. It's kind of thin. You can see it's kind of thin, maybe 2 millimeters. Okay, and then normally the heishi necklaces are done with thread traditionally, but because I want to make sure that this lasts, I'm going to do it on some AccuFlex fine beading wire, 49 strands, which is the softest drape. So we're going to do it on that. I haven't picked out my clasp yet, but you know, you've got to have one. So unless you do it big enough that you can just slide it around the neck, which if I was going to do that, I would do it with thread. But it's going to be maybe 25 inches long roughly. And yeah, that's what we need to get started. Okay, so this is the pattern we're going to do for the main part of the necklace with these little white birds here. These birds are bigger, so we're going to put those on the bottom, closer to the bottom where the big turquoise centerpiece is. But here's your pattern. This is what we're doing. Now you can do any pattern you want. It doesn't matter. You can do all of the pin shell heishi if you want to. You can do all turquoise. You can do all seed beads. It doesn't matter. I've seen them done all different directions. But this is our pattern right here. We've got the little bird with, we're going to put this little seed bead currant color right next to this bird. Then it's going to be coral on each side of that. Then you've got 2 of the pin shell, 2 of the heishi cut turquoise, 2 of the pin shell, another piece of coral. The little tiny seed bead goes next to the bird. This seed bead goes next to the bird. Then you've got your coral, your 2 pin shell, your 2 he she cut turquoise, 2 pin shell, coral, and then we're repeating the pattern. That's where we're going with it, and I'll get my things going here and we'll get started. Alrighty, I'm about halfway down this first side before I start into the bigger birds. So for those of you who like to watch the beading process, we are going to start with this little bird here, and we'll start stringing them on. One of the things, it's an easy mistake to make doing this. Remember which direction that your birds are going. Makes sense. You may get one side, you're going to be beating them one way, and one side, you're going to be beating them another. Hang on just a second. I got to get my eyeballs down here where I can see these little tiny seed beads. They're all so tiny. Anyway, just remember when you're beading, the birds are all going the same direction. In other words, don't have a bird upside down or you'll have to undo it all and start over. But you can see right here, this is what the pattern is looking like. And I think that is so pretty. And I think once we get it all together, it's going to be hopping and jumping. So we're going to continue on here. We'll do a few more so you can see. And these are small beads. If you are doing it with thread, which is more traditional, and that is okay, that's totally okay. If you're going to do it with thread and make it more traditional, it may be a little easier for you if you will use a big eye needle. And let me show you what one of those looks like right here. Let me get this on here and then I'll show you. Okay, so let me set that right there for a second. If you're a big eye needle, it's called just what I said, a big eye needle. This right here, if you're doing small beadwork with thread, this right here will save your life. And let me get one out here so I can show you how it works. It's very flexible, as you can see. It's just very, very flexible, so you can bend it to fit tight loops that you're trying to make. But here's the great thing about this. It opens up like this. This is why it's called a big eye needle, is because it opens up in the middle. The whole entire needle opens up. It is fantastic when you're doing things with thread, which I'll probably do some things in the future with thread just to demonstrate it for you. But you just put your thread through, pull it up here at the top, just like you would a regular needle, and then just start your beading. And it helps you to bead. I'll demonstrate it right here on this, although I don't have any thread in there. But you can just you can see how the beads just pick up so easily, just like that. So if you're doing thread with anything, I would suggest you using a big eye needle. It is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Okay, but I'm not doing that with this one because I want it to last a little bit longer. When I do my corn bead necklaces, I do it with a big eye needle. But this one's a little different today, so we're going to continue on with the ultra fine thread. And we'll keep beading some here. And remember my pattern. These little tiny coral chips, coral beads I got at Fire Mountain a while back, but I'm sure they probably still have them. Also, you can Google any of these beads and probably find them anywhere online. Especially the black pin shell he-she, these right here, the little black pin shell he-she. I know you can find those online because I ordered some bigger ones. a while back that I'm going to be using for another project. So I do know that you can find those, and I'm sure you can find them in sizes. I don't know. Fire Mountain may have them. Shipwreck Beads may have them um, as well. Not sure about Crazy Crow. I can't remember, but they might have them. All right. I've got a few beaded here. And for time's sake, and look how pretty it's getting, guys. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Look at how it's turning. Look at the colors, and the white just sings with the reds and turquoises, just makes those birds sing. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and bead the rest of this, and when we get to the centerpiece down here, I'll come back and we'll see direction we're going. We are now at the middle of the necklace. I've already beaded this whole side over here, and it looks amazing. Okay, so what we're going to do now is incorporate the bigger birds. And what I did was I kind of picked them by color, gradiating color according to my centerpiece here, because I want to make sure that everything is color is seen well. Hang on just a minute. Let me push this forward. Maybe that'll help you a little bit. Okay, so when we pick up where we've been beading this little section right here, and so what we're going to do next, and this is going to be the pattern. You've got your one bird here, and then it starts into, because I'm going to introduce the chips, I decided to start integrating the chips on the last white bird. So it looks like this. So you can see where I've started integrating, instead of the he she, I started integrating the chips because that's where I'm going next. Okay. So it will be the two brown. I'll let Ken zoom in on this. It'll be a little easier. The two brown, the chip, the two pin shell, and then we're repeating this same pattern with the coral and the little blood red seed bead and the bird, the seed bead, the coral. That pattern is going to remain the same. But instead of adding the he she cut turquoise, I'm doing turquoise chips now right in there instead. And I'm not at this point going to put any more of the pin shell in there because I'm wanting the focal piece to come down and actually change color. So that's kind of why I'm leaving the pin shell out. You don't have to do that. You can put pin shell all the way through it. That is, there's not a right or wrong here to this. But I literally wanted the browns to lighten up as I was going in, so I left the pin shell out and just kept doing the turquoise chips, which come down to the centerpiece. All right, so I'm going to bead a few here for those of you who like to watch this process. And I'm going to start on this side right here because that's kind of where I'm at. And let me get my eyes down here. My little coral beads have gotten mixed up with my seed beads. So here, I rolled them around a second ago trying to move them. All right. And then the brown one. And then we've got my little bird. And remember to make sure, depending on which side you're beading, make sure the birds go on there correctly. You don't want to have to undo everything because the bird is upside down. All right, so here's where the pin shell should be starting. However, I am doing the turquoise chunks now. Instead, I'm graduating the brown out. Oh, I left a piece of coral out. Hang on, guys. Pull this back in just a little better so you can see it a little better. Yep, I already made a mistake. I left my coral out. So it's good to take your time, especially doing something with beads this small and the pattern changing. Just take your time. It's not, you're not in a race to get anything done in a hurry. Then we're going to go back to the coral again. Oops. And then I'm getting ready to put a bird on, so I've got to flank him with that little dark blood red seed bead. It makes him stand out a little more. And you can do any color that you would like. Then I've got my 2 coral chips going on. Sorry, I said coral chips, my turquoise chips going on, and my coral round beads going on. All right, I'm putting on the little blood red seed bead. I'm getting ready to add this next little birdie. These little bird fetish things are so cute. Of course, I love birds. Absolutely love birds. My bird feeders make me so happy. And they get just thrilled to death when you put fresh water in every day. It's like, yes, it's bath time. They just love it. Of course, I throw seeds out, and the squirrels are all about the seeds. They my husband and we'll be out working on the lawn, and I'll never forget, a couple of months ago, he comes around to the side I was working on, and he goes, "Hey, did you leave this apple in the windowsill out here?" I said, "No, Ken, I didn't." He goes, "Well, the apple was sitting up half eaten in the windowsill." And I said, "Well, that's our little squirrel, Sweet Sweet. We call this squirrel we have Sweet Sweet. And Ken feeds her peanut butter crackers, and she loves it." Oh, but anyway, Sweet Sweet had left a half eaten apple on the windowsill. Oh, it just made me laugh. So now we check the window sills all the time just to make sure, the windowsills, to make sure Sweet Sweet hadn't left us a present. All right, so here we go. This is the birds are now closer together. You can see I purposely wanted them to be closer together, and I see a mistake I made already. So I'm going to correct that. I left a bead out. That's because I was laughing about the squirrel. Anyway, I'll make that correction, and then we'll be back and do the center. We are now at the center. I left 1 coral bead out a second ago, so I'm glad I saw it, so I didn't have to go back and undo. All of my birds are going upright on this side. So when you start beading on this side over here, you're going to bead from the bottom of the bird going up this way. So on this side, you beaded from the top of the bird. Very important, very important. Okay, the centerpiece here is this big chunk of turquoise, and I wanted to gather a little more turquoise down here to make this all kind of come to a fruition here in the middle. So I continued my 2 chunk turquoise pieces, but then I added 1 little tiny silver bead in here and another piece of turquoise next to this one. Reason why I did that is because it's so predictable to put the silver here. It's just predictable. And the weight of the turquoise needs to balance out. So adding another piece of turquoise on either side of the chunky piece makes it balance better. So I'm going to go ahead and do this section right here. I've already got the one side done. Tiny thing there. And the other thing too, when you're working with chips, you know, the sides of chips are all different. And so when you're beading something with chips, you need to turn it before you start adding the clasp on there, because of the different edges on it. It will leave gaps within your necklace if you don't turn it to make them fit the best way they can fit together. because chips are just irregular. So that's kind of part of the issue with using chips. But if you're mindful of it, then everything works beautifully. If you're mindful of it, just turn it before you put your clasp on, and we'll do that in just a minute to show you. Okay, so I'm getting ready to start on the other side of the necklace over here, and we've got the centerpiece on, and so I'm starting my coral seed bead bird pattern again, and then I'm going to go up with the colored birds with this exact same pattern, and I'll do a few of those just to get us started here. And like I said, there is no right or wrong here, so you can do them pretty much any way you want to. I've seen them where there was just nothing on there except for the black pin shell, and absolutely beautiful. I've seen it with turquoise. I've seen it all different ways. So I just decided to mix a lot of things. All right, I'm going to the opposite side so the birdie gets strung from the bottom. He gets strung from the bottom. A seed bead, my coral, my turquoise chunks, my coral. Ooh, that little hole's so tiny. I had a little hummingbird this morning in my windowsill eating the nectar out of my impatiens that are blooming up front. I have a lot of bright pinks, corals, and reds, and they love those red colors. So they were up there I had one just munching this morning. It made me so happy when I was having my coffee. Just made me happy. I love the little hummers. I used to keep feeders, but it's so important to keep the feeders clean, because if you don't keep the feeders clean, bacteria can grow in there and it will actually kill them if their little beaks swell and their tongues swell, and then they can't eat and they starve to death. So if you've got hummingbird feeders, please clean them weekly, for the sake of the babies. They need fresh, like we all need fresh. All right, we're almost to the end of these birds. Get in there. Last bird of color. And this kind of stuff can be very tedious. So just, take your time. Don't get in a hurry. It is what it is. And, it should be a therapeutic thing, not a frustrating thing. All right, so I'm at my end. I'm going to add the chunk turquoise, starting the new pattern up the side. Alrighty. Okay, so let me clip this off so you can see what we've done. All right, so here's where we are with it. And look how beautiful. Oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. The birds kind of graduate and cascade down to the bottom. Oh, I'm so excited. All right, I'm going to start my other side over here that is going to be the mirror image, and I'll bead all those, and then we'll get back and finish. Okay, we are coming to the end of this project, and I've got my little birds here. The necklace is going to wind up being about a 30 maybe inch. I was going to do 27 and I changed my mind. I just wanted it to hang at a different place on the chest. So what we're doing here with this last little section here before we put the clasp on is I am going to add, and this is about a 5mm bead. It's the same bead I used around the piece of turquoise. It's just a little tiny accent bead. You can use whatever size bead you would like. but make sure that it fits with the size of the necklace. In other words, not too small, not too large. That's kind of a key. All right, so this is what we're doing here. I'm gonna let Ken zoom in on this. Here's the end of the birds, like I was saying earlier. And to start a new thought right here, I've added the one little tiny silver bead here. Silver is neutral. And so I've added a little tiny silver bead here to start this next pattern, which is going to be up to the end of the necklace. And I kept the exact same pattern minus the little tiny seed bead, the little red, currant, blood red colored seed bead. I kept that one out, but I maintained the rest of the pattern. So I've got two of the pin shell, he, she, black pin shell, turquoise, two pin shell, coral, two pin shell, turquoise, two pin shell, coral. Repeat that pattern all the way up to the end, and then we will put the clasp on. I'm probably going to use just a simple basic hook and eye clasp because that tends to be the traditional look of these necklaces. Most of the time they're just a simple hook and eye of some kind on the end, and I'm going to use silver with this one, so it's neutral, and I think that will be just fine with the white pearl birds. Okay, I'm going to bead this other side over here with this pattern right here, and then I will be back for the clasp. Okay, this is the last of this necklace, and for time's sake I went ahead and put on the other side of the clasp, but you can see what I did here. I finished it out just with a few of the pin shell up to the top. This will be so comfortable around the neck. Oh my goodness. And I alternated the turquoise and the coral all the way up. I'm using a hook and eye clasp, and I decided to put just a little fancier one than the one I intended on putting, just because I think it merited it, you know. But this is just a beautiful clasp. I got it at Fire Mountain, and it is just beautiful. I get a lot of clasps and things from Fire Mountain because they just do beautiful work. They have some beautiful work there. You can also go to Rio Grande and some other places like that to get beautiful finishings for your necklaces. Okay, so here we go. And remember, I told you I wanted to make sure that all the turquoise chips were turned. So I'm kind of working with it here, trying to make sure everything's settled down to the end here, because you don't want any gaps down here with your wire. And I'm kind of rolling it to make sure. I know this is kind of a little bit out of the screen, but it's a long necklace. It wound up being 30 inches like I was wanting. I went ahead and made sure that the wire does not show here as I'm pushing, so I'm pushing it down just a little bit, moving this around. You want it to not buckle, so you want to make sure there's a lot of play here where you can turn it, where you're not going to have anything buckling on you. All right, looks like we're ready to go. And you can see just by me doing that, it left about a quarter of an inch. You can see it right there, about a quarter of an inch gap. So it's important that you play with your beads, especially if they're irregularly cut like these are, and the turquoise chips, and the pin shell was irregularly cut. So you have to play with it a little bit, make sure you don't have any gaps at the top. But like I always say, don't make it so tight that it buckles. That's not what we're looking for. So that's why I always do things like this, just to make sure the beads have room to breathe. All right, last thing very quickly, you're going to put on the clasp. And so you'll start with the crimp going on. This is a tube crimp. You can use a round one if you'd like. I'm putting on the, I will put it on if I can see it. Let me get my eyes down here. Clasp goes on, and as always, you push the thread back through the crimp Should look like that right there. Then you're going to pull that down. But remember, don't pull it so tight that this little guy can't breathe. You need a little room in there. All right. All right, then you take your crimping tool. Remember, you flatten, then you fold. Got to fold it. If you don't fold it, it will come sliding out. Here, I can't see very well here today. Fold, baby, fold. There it goes. And then you're going to run the excess wire back through as many beads as you can. I'm probably going to try to bring it down to here if I can. And it may not, but if it does, that's great. You never want to clip it up next to the crimp for multiple reasons. Number one, might be scratchy on the person's neck that's wearing it. And number two, you may have a tendency to pull it out if it gets jerked really hard by accident. All right, I'm going to take my flush cutters and I'm going to cut this little excess wire as close to that he/she bead as I can so nothing sticks out. The last thing here is our beautiful little crimp cover that goes on here. Looks like a little Pac-Man, as I always say. You're going to close this up very, very gingerly, not too fast, not too hard, because these little guys are, they're not like ultra soft, but they are a little soft. So, and they're supposed to be so that you can close them. Now they do make stainless steel ones and they're a little tougher to close, but they're some good stuff. All right, I got my rough edge off there. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. I have been wanting to make one of these for a while. Oh my goodness. Let's get this little guy in here. Let me open this up just a little bit. Crimps a little. There it goes. It just needs to be opened just a little bit. There it is. Okay, guys. Oh my goodness. Look at this beautiful, beautiful fetish necklace. I am so excited about this. I am glad the little birds left me feathers in my hibiscus plant, or I would have never thought of it, but the colors are kind of remind me of that. So hope you guys enjoyed this project. If you got any inspiration to start something of your own, please like and subscribe to my channel. It definitely helps me to know what to bring to you, and it helps me to know if I'm showing things that you love to see. So yeah, love it. I'm excited. I'll see you guys on the next project. Bye.